Halloween is still all anyone can talk about here in the four communities. And of course, like I said earlier in the show, there's going to be a lot of great festivities taking place tonight when all the kids are out trick-or-treating with their families. But it is important that everyone stays safe when they are out trick-or-treating, and it's important to be aware of some dangers that might be present. So, here to tell us more about what we can look out for Halloween tonight, we have Community Relations Officer with the West Bloomfield Police Department, Zena Dailey, joining us today on the Splash Live. Zena, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Really great. Glad to see you. Happy Halloween. And really
Thank you.
excited to be talking about this because it is important that a lot of this information is out to the public before families are out trick-or-treating tonight, especially if it's the first one for certain kids. So what are some things that you typically see on Halloween that can be dangerous?
Well, a lot of kids they're dressed up in their costumes, not wearing reflective gear, not carrying flashlights a lot of times. Their costumes are dark. They're walking around in the dark. Not a lot of lights in West Bloomfield in our side street. So if you don't have a ton of homes that are passing out candy, you're not going to see a ton of lights. You're not going to be lit up, right? So one of the most important things I would say is make sure your kids have some kind of flashlight, reflective tape even on the back, on the front, just so that the cars driving through can see them.
Of course, it is great that people need to see the kids. You don't want to get into any sort of accidents. You
Absolutely.
don't want these kids to be in any sort of danger.
Right.
Are there any factors that come to mind that maybe aren't as well known, that maybe even parents might not be aware of?
Well, I mean, it's pretty basic, right? When you're walking out with your kids, you want to stay together, and if you do get separated, you want to make sure that you have a plan. Like if you are three doors down and you have a bunch of kids and kids going in between, waiting in line, and you kind of separated from one of your kids, have a plan. Whether it's putting your name and your phone number, if your kids are much younger, your name and your phone number, and put it in their pocket. That way, if they get lost, they can tell someone like, "Hey, this is my mom." I would make sure you tell your kids also if you get separated. Yeah, call the police. Tell the person whose house you're at, like, "Hey, I just lost my parents. I don't know where they went." Call the police, but make sure you tell your kids not to go in the home. Some people, say, "Oh, come on in, we'll call the police." Make sure you're telling your kids it's never okay to go into someone's home unless it's someone that you know, someone that you trust, that the family knows. But just little tricks like that, you want to make sure that you have a plan in case you do get separated.
Of course, yes. Always have a plan in place in case something were to happen. Now, there might also be factors that come into play that maybe are a little more unpredictable, Zena, maybe like the weather, because I understand the weather might play a factor into trick-or-treating tonight. How can that affect things for trick-or-treaters?
Well, when your kids are crossing the street or darting across the street, one, you want to make sure that you're not crossing in between cars so that the cars can't see you. But if it's wet out there, all those leaves are falling, they will make the ground slippery. So if you guys are running across, you're gonna fall, and that is an opportunity for a car that does not see you. If you're not wearing reflective gear, you can get hit by a car. So that is probably one of the most dangerous factors that we have is crossing the street, drivers being aware, not being on your phones, any kind of electronics, making sure you are driving slowly through those subdivisions.
Yeah, of course, because even if the rain were to get really, really bad tonight, I don't think that's going to stop very many kids from trick-or-treating. I mean, Halloween's
I
once every
agree.
year. They're going to be
We
out
were out in the
there.
snow last year, so
You're absolutely right. They're going to be out there, rain or shine. Zena Dailey from the West Bloomfield Police Department is joining us on the Splash today to talk about some things to look out for and for families to be aware of as they are trick-or-treating with their kids tonight. So this is a lot of information for the parents to be aware of, but what are some things that maybe the kids can know in their minds to remember as they're out trick-or-treating?
to stay together, don't run ahead. I know my kids do that too, and we're constantly calling them back. So try to stay together. And then you have the older kids, the kids that are almost teens, and they're going out alone for maybe the first time. So as a family, think, or maybe the parents communicate with each other. Think of a route, plan a route out for the kids to take, so that if you can't get a hold of them, or if there's an emergency, you know where your kids are going to be.
Yes, absolutely. Make sure you know where the kids are at all times. And Zena, it's great that you mentioned the older kids in this situation because, as I mentioned earlier in the show, trick-or-treating is not all that's going to be taking place tonight. There's going to be Halloween parties. There's going to be all
Right.
sorts of events for the older kids to be taking part in. What are some things that they need to look out for?
Depending on how old you are, what kind of event you're going to, you want to make sure if you see something that doesn't seem right, you separate yourself from that situation. You call your parents, they have a code word, have a safe word, and get yourself out of that situation. If there is alcohol, please be aware there is zero tolerance. So, it's something to be aware of if you are hosting the party. You want to make sure you know who's coming into your home and what they are bringing because you are ultimately responsible.
Yes, that is certainly right. You are responsible for yourself. But Zena, obviously, it's not just, we don't want to keep things fully talk about what you shouldn't do on Halloween. We do want to talk, we do want everybody to have fun on this holiday. And what are some of the things that you see from the community as they enjoy this holiday?
Well, I hope all the kids get a ton of candy. I hope they get some king size Reese's. That's my personal favorite. But make sure that you guys check your candy before you eat it. You don't know what you're getting and from who. So just make sure the parents are checking it out before we start to consume some of that candy.
Yes, that's right. And make sure you pace yourself. Don't eat all that
Yeah.
candy in one night, as tempting as that might be.
And then
Zena,
brush your teeth at the end of the night.
yes, absolutely. Make sure you brush your teeth. And Zena, one more question before we let you go. Where can people go to maybe get a little more information about what to look for tonight?
So I just posted something on our Facebook page if you want to check it out. Just some safety tips, some of the things I've already mentioned, and some additional things on there. So if you want, go ahead. You could also Google some more information. But those are some little tips on there that you can check on our Facebook page.
Awesome. Great to have you guys ready and helping out the community and keeping them all safe. Zena, we thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.